Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now we're going to get into a little bit more complex interactions. Now, what I have here is a temperature kind of dragging interaction that I've created. Now, you may be a little overwhelmed with what you're looking at here, and I'm going to explain it to you, and I'm going to break it down the best way possible. So let's go down and pick this apart as to how it is designed and what I was thinking when I was actually creating it. So the beginning, let's start with the header. Now the header is just pretty self-explanatory. I mean, we have a regular frame, and inside that frame, this is centered, and then we have a back arrow. So nothing much happening here. Same thing with this kind of secondary navigation I created. You have the name of the type of smart device that we created, and you can tell that lighting is there, television is there, and it's all kind of connected back to what we have here. And this is where you can kind of take this project and keep on building upon it if you really wanted to, change up the design a bit, the visual design at least, even change up the UX a bit to suit your needs. But this is kind of the way I've created this kind of secondary navigation. You can swipe through that, interact with it any which way you'd like. Now we have this kind of main part at the bottom where you can create another toggle interaction. I didn't go ahead and do that right away. I'll show you how to do that. And we have different kind of settings for the type of heating and cooling air conditioner that you have. And that's totally up to you in terms of if you would like to fix that up or not. Now, this is the more complex part, and I'll break this down piece by piece. So this is going to be our main interaction piece. This is what I have called temp. Now in temp, I have a bunch of different little numbers, and you'll see them arising from 21, 22, 2019. So I only did it 4 times because I don't think it takes much to really showcase what you're trying to showcase here. You don't need to go through all the numbers. So I have them all lined up accordingly, and I have them all sized in a particular way, meaning the main number is going to look like this. It's going to even have these styles. So it's a medium DM sans. It's 100% black. And the number below it and above it are going to be the same. 20 and 22 are going to have the same style. So it's a regular DM sans with 4% opacity, and it's going to be smaller. You'll notice the font size there. And then the 19 and the 23 are going to be even smaller because we want these to kind of fade a bit into the background when we're swiping here. So these, you'll note the actual size is getting slightly smaller. We are going 3% opacity, and then we see 18, and then I think it's 24, and those are barely visible at 1%, and they are a bit smaller as well. We even have 17 up here. I have 16 and 15 just in the background because we are going to be going up to higher numbers. We are going to be going down to lower numbers. So those numbers we do have to account for. They are going to be coming into our screen view, and we just want to make sure that we can see them just barely. It adds to the experience, so we need to account for that as well. But the only difference here is, we have a 15, 16, and 17 that have a 0% opacity, but they all have the same font size. So we're just using 32 for these font sizes that are, the ones you can't see. These ones are 32 as well, so they'll just come into the picture over here. So you didn't see 24 before, and you see the 24 now. Same with if we were going to 21, 20, you'll start seeing 18. You'll see 17, and it's up to you if you'd like to, keep on going with it. So that's just the temperature gauge and the main swiping component. That's going to be the main thing that you're going to be interacting with, or at least starting your interaction points from. So let's just close that for a second. You'll also have this Celsius little button here. or text. And I have it just kind of set to an outline because the only thing that changes about this is it's going to go in and out based off of the sizing of the number. So if I were to copy this, I'm going to copy that and then paste it over here, and you'll notice that it's too close to the 22. So you will need to kind of move it over a bit when the next screen comes along. So I'll show you what that looks like when I kind of start that prototype up. Now, the other thing I do have, let's kind of go through it a bit more. I do have this kind of background element frame. And you may be asking, well, what the heck is that? And that is just where we keep our motion blur, which is hidden. I've hidden that. And I have two rules on each side, one on the left side and one on the right side. And I have that done for every single one here. And this is where that kind of thing comes in really handy. So when I do swipe, I want 20. If I were to swipe from 20 to 21, I want 20 to switch to 21, but I don't want to go directly to this screen. I want it to go to this screen. Give me a little bit of color, and you can animate the color any which way you like or change the color. So I have it set to like an orange, and you can see what that kind of looks like. I have the background motion blur that's right there. And I also have on the background elements the different types of fills. So I have this fill here, which is a radial blur, and we can go into that fill and I'll show you how I created that. Basically, it's just the color and then fading off to 0 on white. So you can kind of place that any which way you want. The reason why it cuts so harshly over here, and I kind of like that look, is because we have the main background elements frame set to clip the content, or else it would bleed on out of this kind of frame. So I have that done for every single scenario down here. And that's basically how this prototype looks and why it looks this way, and also how it kind of is meant to be created and used. So you know now how I've set up my file. So when I am moving from a 21 to 22, I am literally shifting this down, making sure that 20 is looking like this, and fixing all those numbers manually. So it is a little bit of a strenuous process, but totally you need it in order to actually make it look the way you want. So let's jump right into the prototype and I'll show you what it looks like. First, let's look at the prototype. So here we have a lot of different things happening. We have the on button. So we can actually start from this frame. So we'll just kind of create a starting point. We'll just call it temp. And from here, if you swipe, it'll automatically turn on. So 21 to 22, or 21 to swiping to 20. And you can turn it on by the toggle and it'll just kind of turn it on here. And from here, what's going to happen is after these are kind of in their state, you can drag it if you'd like. I'm going to actually delete these drag. Actually, no, we'll actually keep them. So I have these drag 1,000 milliseconds on each. You can see I have them here as well. So this one going up 1,000 milliseconds. This one's 300. We can change this one to 1,000. So change that to 1,000 milliseconds. This is another on drag. So we'll change that to 1,000. We'll change that one to 1,000 too. So we want to make sure we keep everything really consistent. So we have it set to 1,000, perfect. And then we want to make sure it's just going to kind of fade into here, and then after delay, right into the exact same number. So I'm just going to kind of go through here and do my due diligence on the timing. So I see some are set to 300. So we're just going to set that to 1,000. Same thing over here. We're going to know that 19 is going to go to 20, and then 20 is going to after delay to 20. But if we're going really quickly, we can actually swipe between all these if we truly wanted to, but that's fine. This is going to be 1,000, and then we'll be able to go here for 1,000 on drag. Beautiful. This one will be 1,000. And this one will be 1,000. So you can tell that these prototypes are getting a little bit out of hand. That's totally fine. They are totally worth it. Okay, so let's take a look at what this looks like. And if you really wanted to, you can, connect this all to this main prototype. I like to break out my flows, to be honest, because even though it looks nice to kind of have one big app that you can like showcase to people, you can do that easily, but I like to kind of break it down into different parts of the app, so it just makes it much more manageable, because then after you have these spaghetti lines all over the place, and then it gets hard to manage. So now that we're in our prototype, I'm going to go to temp. So I can see my hotspots just by clicking. And you can see these things are starting to move because it's off, but now it's on. So now if I do that, I can actually move throughout the prototype by dragging. Pretty nice little animation that's coming back with this color. It's giving me nice feedback on what's happening with this value change. Also kind of seeing these numbers pop in and out. It's not harsh. It just gives me enough of what I need to know what's next. So it's really easy to use. But this is how you can put together a swipeable temp interaction. Really, really beautiful. Let's go back. Let's take a look at our original over here. So if we wanted to actually connect the two, let's just actually duplicate them all. Let's go on our design file again. I'm going to hold down options while I do this, option and shift. So if we actually wanted to create a new larger prototype, we can do that. So if this was like, we'll just untap that because we have it set to a state that's not on. So that will need to lead to there. So 300 milliseconds. And I want no smart animate, move in from the right. We're just gonna have that slide right in. And we'll do the same thing for this. Bring that over here. No smart animate, perfect. This one we'll have click right there. Beautiful. This one we'll have click right there. Okay, so let's take a look at what it looks like when we start piecing together a larger flow. So we have it called larger app. So we can even take this button here and just go back. So I have it set to move out. So this screen's going to move out, kind of like the way it came in. Oops. It's because it's on drag. Oh, it has the on tap already set to it. So we'll just do that again. Move out. Perfect. Okay, let's do it again. There we go. So same way it came in, we have it, and then we can start interacting with our prototype. And that's how you create a really, really simple, kind of complex temp interaction when you're trying to like turn down your temperature because it's so hot in your home, or you want to turn it up because you are freezing. That's the way to kind of make it look. And I'm sure just following some of my tips in terms of how I set this up and to ensure that, you know, you keep with the types of styles that are here, you'll be able to easily create some draggable items like this in no time. So I would love to see how everyone else's smart home app turned out, because this is a pretty exciting thing and it's pretty exploratory in nature. So I would love to see some new colors, some new applications for these different types of numbers. And just overall, I would like to see if anyone kind of mixed in some other interactions as well. So if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask.